Hello and welcome to the first update on Hynergy, a high-tech mod about energy and automation. We've been working a lot this past month, especially implementing features and trying to accomplish the first stage of the mod that we show what we wanted to do in the progression tree a few months ago. With the blocks provided by this first stage, we can already build some energy systems, so it's a good foundation. In the regular workbench, we can create the tinkering bench. This is the bench of the mod where we put all the elements to create the energy systems and to craft the different blocks we are using. If you take a look at the first stage we are planning here in green, you can see it is very simple. In the mechanical part we have a hand shaft, a water wheel and a windmill to produce energy, and wooden shafts and iron shafts to transmit that energy, and also wooden and iron gears to multiply the speed and increase the speed. In the electrical side, we mainly have some wires, a generator, and also a motor, so we can go from mechanical to electrical, and only one type of cable. So this is the thing we are implementing now, so we can work with a mechanical system, produce energy there, and also transform it to the electrical system and back with the motor. If we go back to the tinkering bench, we can see we have 4 sections: tools, mechanical, electrical, and fluids. Fluids for now is just a placeholder because it's not in the first stage. And let's start with mechanical. In mechanical, we have the things I already mentioned in the first stage. So let's begin with crafting some rustic water wheels, also the windmill, because this is a tier 1 generation, and with the wooden shaft and wooden gears. This is the most basic generation you can have apart from hand shaft. So the water wheel, you can see if we place it, first the hitbox is a bit weird because it's more useful for us to have it this way. So if we put it on water, it will turn. If we put it on land, it will not. We have not implemented that it needs flowing water, so that's for the future. So let's put a shaft so we can transmit energy, and if we put a water wheel, we already are generating energy, mechanical energy. We can put more water wheels and we will have more energy in the system. So now we have rotational speed and energy to be used in the shaft. So we also have here a small cog, so it rotates with the shaft. If we place here this gear here, you can see it is placed in the wrong direction, but because we have different directions for the gear. So luckily Hytel already have this method that you can rotate the block. So it is easy to implement, and you can see here that we are transmitting energy between the gears and the direction is changing. We also have a small issue in this version I'm using because it's a first version I made to try different features. So the animation is not synced if it is already rotating, but the main branch of the mod should be already working fine. The thing is, I'm using a new version. Okay, so if we put here a big gear, we can multiply the speed by 2 because the relation of the small and the big gear is double. So this is as in Create. You can have a gear in this configuration and you are doubling the speed. So if we keep with this configuration, we can increase every time twice the speed of the shaft, so we can have systems that works faster. So from the small gear, we go to the big one, and in diagonal, we put the small gear, so every time we are doubling the speed. So this shaft, everything connected to the shaft should work faster. So that's the idea of increasing the speed. The machines will go faster. However, because these wooden gears and shafts are the first tier, they go up to a certain speed. So you can see here, if I try to put here to increase the speed even more, it just breaks because it cannot handle that much speed. To increase even more the speed, we should need the iron shaft and iron gears. So that's the tier 2. Now let's see the windmill. In this case, the windmill will just rotate by its own because it should be receiving wind all the time. And let's see here, in this case, how to go from an horizontal to a vertical shaft. So we have a special tool. In this case, we have a wrench. You can see here is for changing the rotation. And also let's take this directional like directional cogs. So you can see that we can put here this directional cog with the wrench, we can rotate it, and yes, there we have, we can go from horizontal to vertical shafts. And let's try also to bring it here, so let's put it this way and rotate it so we can bring the shafts here. Let's go back to the second tier, the iron shaft and the iron gear. Those should work with 4 times the speed regarding the wooden ones. So if we put here the small gear, we can double the speed, and even we can increase it 1 more time. So if we want to have even faster system, we should go to a more expensive shaft and gears that they must be iron. So here I'm using a second tier of water wheel, so it will generate more energy. And let's go now also to the electrical side. We have here some different things, for example, a lever, a second tier cable, some intensity cell, the normal cable, and a generator. That's the main thing, because we will go from mechanical to electrical energy. For this, we can just connect the generator to our rotational shaft or rotational even gear. We will already be generating energy. Here also you can see the connections of the cable. If they are touching each other, they will always connect. To show that the electrical system is working and has energy, I have here these lights that are not part of the mode. They are just to see if the system is working. So in white we have a light load, and in black we have this more heavy load to the system. So you can see if I cut the cable, they shut down. I can even use a lever. I turn on the lever and the lights turn on. So you can see that we are going from mechanical energy to electrical energy, and the system still works. This is an intensity cell. We generate electricity through magic with the crystals. It produces very low amount of energy. However, it is useful for signals and eventually logic systems. Also, if we have too many loads, it will just shut down because the system cannot handle that many loads. Also, it works with the levers, so it's the same system, just the energy is very low. We have here the second tier cable. It works more like a block, but it can transmit much more intensity, because instead of rotational speed in the electrical system, we have intensity. So the bigger the intensity, the fastest the system can work. Let's go now from electrical systems, again to mechanical systems. Let me clean here a bit. So if we connect the motor to a cable, we can produce mechanical energy from electricity. In this case, I will put a shaft and a gear so you can see better the rotation. And if I turn on this lever, you can see the shaft is now rotating. I will delete this load so we can have more energy available. And yes, the system now should be working better, because it was in underperformance because it had too many loads. We will see that in the next video, because it's a very specific situation that can be produced because of the special behavior of energy. Now, if I try to connect these systems through this cable, the cable will just break because it cannot connect two systems with different intensities. It is trying to connect two shafts with different speed, so the block has two inputs, two speeds in this case, for example, and it will just break because it is not possible for the energy system to handle this contradiction. Because there is still some energy we can take from the mechanical system, I'm going to connect here another generator to increase the energy we are putting to the electrical system. Both machines have the same intensity, so they can be connected together. And also this mechanical system, we can work as a normal mechanical system. We can put a big gear, we can increase the speed again. It's the same, only that the energy is coming now from the electrical system. And let's see what happens if we turn off this lever. In this case, we're injecting less energy to the electrical system, and we can provide less speed in the output. So if we turn it again, the speed will increase in the motor. And yeah, this is the update we have for this month. You can see we can already generate energy from water wheels or windmills. We can transmit that energy through shafts. We can increase the speed. We can also go from mechanical to electrical with generators. We can have cables to move the energy. We can go back to mechanical with motors. We can cut the signal with levers. And the foundation of the energy system is already there. Actually, most of the time, instead of these features, these blocks, was to implement the behavior of the energy, how the energy is moving, how this machine will work depending on this intensity, on this rotational speed, on the dynamic. And the next video will be about this, a deep dive into the energy system, so see you there. Bye bye.